What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Hoops and Scoops. Today I'm going to be giving you my predictions for the 2020-2021 NBA season. It's so crazy that we are already starting a new season, considering just a few weeks ago I was talking to you about my opinions of the off-season moves in the last video. Today I will give you my predictions about things such as all NBA teams, um, regular season standings, and the playoffs. As always, please remember to subscribe if you're new and like the video and share with any of your friends who you think might like this. Let's start off with talking about who I think is going to finish at the top of each conference during the regular season. Coming in as my 1 seed in the Western Conference is the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets retained their roster from last year, except for Jeremy Grant. I expect both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. to be candidates for Most Improved Player this season and help Nikola Jokic lead this team. I also think that the Nuggets won't rest Jokic and Murray as much as other teams rest their stars, which is why I predict them to get the 1 seed. The Los Angeles Lakers come in as my number 2 seed in the West. The defending champions are arguably even more loaded this year after acquiring Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder, Wesley Matthews, and Marc Gasol. The only reason why I have them as the 2 seed is that I expect LeBron and Anthony Davis to rest a lot, so it wouldn't surprise me if they are an even lower seed to start the playoffs. However, they still remain my championship frontrunner. The 3rd seed in the West belongs to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers retooled a bit in the offseason by bringing in Serge Ibaka and Luke Kennard, and I still expect them to be dominant in the regular season. Again, similar to the Lakers, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will definitely rest a lot, so it wouldn't shock me for them to be a lower seed, too. I have the Dallas Mavericks as my number 4 seed in the West. The Mavs are definitely a team to watch this year. Superstar Luka Doncic is definitely going to be even better, and with a healthy Kristaps Porzingis and a deep supporting cast, the Mavs could be a team to jump ahead of the LA powerhouses in the regular season. They could possibly even be a dark horse finals winner. I have the Portland Trail Blazers as number 5 in the West. The Blazers traded for Robert Covington to acquire a wing defender, their only weakness on last year's team. Damian Lillard will be an MVP candidate, and their strong supporting cast of CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, Carmelo Anthony, and Gary Trent Jr. will make the Blazers a tough team to beat this year. For the number 6 seed, I have the Utah Jazz, who are led by stars Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, who both secured long-term deals this offseason. They are a really solid, well-rounded team that I think will still make the playoffs, even in a loaded Western Conference. However, this is my first team that I don't feel 100% confident in saying that they are a playoff team. I have the Houston Rockets as my 7 seed. Now, keep in mind, this prediction is based off James Harden playing with the Rockets for the entire season and not getting traded or sitting out. With him, John Wall, and Christian Wood, I think the Rockets will still sneak into the playoffs. However, if Harden does sit out or get traded, they will be on the outside looking in. With the final spot in the Western Conference, I have the Phoenix Suns, who made a massive trade this offseason in acquiring Chris Paul. Alongside Devin Booker and a more developed DeAndre Ayton, I think the Suns will take the 8 seed. I think the mix of star power and depth on this team makes them better than other teams like the Grizzlies, Pelicans, and Warriors. Now for the teams that I have missing the playoffs, we start with the Grizzlies at the 9 seed. They are a young, quickly developing team. Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. will make them competitive, especially in a season where superstars will rest frequently. However, I think they will just barely fail to get over the playoff hump. I have the New Orleans Pelicans as my 10 seed. They are another young team that hopes Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson will take them to the playoffs. They trade away Drew Holiday this offseason, which will hurt them for the present, but not the future. Zion will probably rest a decent amount too, but even with him healthy, I still see them on the outside looking in. The Golden State Warriors come in as my 11 seed in the West. Without Klay Thompson, I don't think Steph Curry's supporting cast is good enough to sneak into the playoffs. However, it wouldn't surprise me if Curry has his best season of his career and carries them to a mid-level seed. However, I don't think this is likely. I have the 12th spot in the West belonging to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I think will improve this year behind D'Angelo Russell and number 1 pick Anthony Edwards surrounding Karl Anthony Towns. However, this team is really bad defensively on paper. I think this lack of defense will keep them towards the bottom of the West. The San Antonio Spurs come in as my 13th seed, and they are led by aging DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. I think there is a very good chance that at least one of those two will be traded by the deadline for young players and or picks. It is in the best interest of the franchise to rely more on young pieces like DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, and Lonnie Walker. Therefore, I don't see the Spurs being competitive this year, for once. At the 14th seed in the West is the Sacramento Kings, who extended star guard De'Aaron Fox this offseason and brought in Tyrese Halliburton to replace Bogdan Bogdanovic. Regardless, I don't think the pieces they have there will allow them to win many games, and as a result, they will be in the depths of the loaded West. Finally, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder as being last in the Western Conference. The irony of this is that they arguably had the best offseason out of any team, as they acquired loads of picks for Chris Paul and other assets. They are clearly in tank mode, with hopes of landing Cade Cunningham in the draft to pair alongside Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now we jump over to the Eastern Conference. To me, the top 6 teams in the East could be seeded anywhere 1 through 6. At 1, I have the Milwaukee Bucks, who pulled off a massive trade for Jrue Holiday in hopes of securing Giannis Antetokounmpo long term. It worked, as he signed his Supermax in December. The Bucks are just as loaded as last season, and I think they will want revenge after their collapse in the bubble. Coming in as the 2 seed, I have the Philadelphia 76ers, who unloaded Al Horford's massive contract and traded for Seth Curry this offseason. As long as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are healthy, they will be a top seed in the East. However, this hasn't been the case yet for either of them in their careers, but I think this could be the year that finally changes. The 3rd seed in the East belongs to the Miami Heat, who are the defending Eastern Conference champions and bring back their same well-rounded team from last year. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo will lead this team to a top seed. However, their bubble finals appearance may force them to rest their stars more than other teams. The Brooklyn Nets come in as my number 4 seed in the East. The Nets get a fully healthy Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to start the season, which obviously is a very scary duo. However, I think they will remain super cautious with playing their superstars too much during the regular season. The Nets have great depth with Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert, so this team may not be a super high seed, but they are major finals contenders. The Boston Celtics have the 5 seed for me. They added Tristan Thompson to go alongside Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker. They are one of those teams that I think could end up anywhere in the top 6 seeds. I have them at 5, but they certainly could be higher. The Toronto Raptors round out the final tier for me of the top of the East. They are super well coached, experienced, and deep, but I have them at the 6th seed for their lack of star power. That being said, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam certainly could make me wrong in this prediction. In the next tier of teams in the East, I have the Pacers, Hawks, and Wizards fighting for the last 2 playoff spots. The Pacers are a super well-rounded team, and they are the same as last year for the most part, so I think this chemistry they have will take them to the 7th seed. Getting the final playoff spot in the East is the Atlanta Hawks. They made so many moves this offseason as they acquired Danilo Gallinari, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Rajon Rondo, and Chris Dunn to go alongside their young core led by Trae Young and John Collins. I'm not sure how well this team will gel. They could be scary good, or they could also have chemistry issues with how shots are distributed. Based on talent alone, though, I have them beating out the Wizards for the 8th seed. The Wizards come in as my 9 seed after they traded John Wall for Russell Westbrook this offseason. The Wizards will definitely be fighting for a playoff spot this year. I think their supporting cast isn't too strong that surrounds Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, which is why I have them as the 9 seed. Coming in at the 10 seed is the Orlando Magic, who will again be stuck in mediocrity. They have some solid players. I just think they need to either blow it up and commit to a rebuild or trade for players to win now. For the past few seasons, they continue to be a low playoff seed or just outside the playoffs. I think this happens yet again this year. The 11th seed in the East belongs to the Chicago Bulls, who have a promising young core of Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, and Kobe White. They'll definitely improve from last season, but I think their lack of defense will hold them back. They have a small chance of potentially competing for the 8 seed, but I think they are still a year or two away from contention. The 12th seed belongs to the Charlotte Hornets, who massively overpaid for Gordon Hayward during the offseason. By the way, check out my previous video of my offseason thoughts if you haven't already. Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball I don't think will contribute to many more wins for this team, which is why I still see them in the bottom of the East. The Cleveland Cavaliers come in as my 13th seed. They have a young core of Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, and Isaac Okoro, as well as Andre Drummond, but they just don't have much talent. They need to develop their young guys this season, potentially trade away Kevin Love in yet another season of misery after the LeBron James era. The New York Knicks come in at number 14. They also need to develop their young guys this season. RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and Obi Toppin should improve under new coach Tom Thibodeau, but they are still not a good team. The Knicks will be near the bottom yet again this season. The Detroit Pistons round out the Eastern Conference. They overpaid for Jeremy Grant and Mason Plumlee this offseason. They don't have much talent at all, other than aging Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin, which would shock me if they don't trade at least one of those two guys this season. I don't know how the Pistons can win more than double-digit games if I'm being completely honest. Now, onto my NBA award predictions for this season. I have Luka Doncic as the favorite for a sure-to-improve Mavericks team. He stuffs the stat sheet and is only getting better. Giannis will have to be phenomenal in order for the media to give him a third straight MVP, but I think his numbers will be similar to his past two MVP seasons. Anthony Davis is going to assume more of a role with LeBron more than likely taking it easy during the regular season. For both of them, I just don't know how much they will sit out and how that will impact their award chances. Damian Lillard is a sleeper pick for me. I see the Blazers as a very underrated team, and if they are better than the Mavericks and maybe leapfrog an LA team in the standings, Dame could have a chance. Finally, Kevin Durant will put up his superhuman stats, but again, I'm not sure he will play enough games to be a front runner. For Defensive Player of the Year, if Anthony Davis plays enough games, I think he will win Defensive Player of the Year for his great rebounding and shot blocking ability. However, if he doesn't play enough games, Giannis will most likely repeat with this award. Rudy Gobert is always in the conversation with his insane defensive ability. Bam Adebayo took a massive leap last season and will most likely improve even more, and his versatility could allow him to be a front runner. Finally, Ben Simmons is the best defensive guard in the league, and his versatility as well makes him a possible candidate. For the Rookie of the Year this year, I have Isaac Okoro, who may be a sleeper pick here, but I like his chances due to Cleveland's youth movement. He will get 30-plus minutes per night on a bad team, so I think he could put up big numbers. Number 1 pick Anthony Edwards will complement D'Angelo Russell and Cat, but his talent should allow him to be the third leading scorer on that team. James Wiseman will benefit largely from playing with Steph Curry and get lots of easy baskets to go along with double-digit rebounds per game. LaMelo Ball is many people's favorite, but I hate his playing style so much because he is so inefficient but flashy. His poor shooting splits make him further behind in my eyes. Finally, Obi Toppin will get lots of usage on a bad Knicks team, allowing the potential for good stats. For the Sixth Man of the Year award, I originally had Spencer Dinwiddie as my favorite to win this, but now that I'm recording this a little bit into the season, we have learned that he has torn his ACL partially and will be out for the year. Now my favorite is Montrezl Harrell, who will fulfill his same role as last year, except on the Lakers now, where he'll probably average 15 and 8 off the bench. Lou Williams is always a contender for this award, as despite his old age, he'll still score 17 to 20 points per game for the Clippers. Jordan Clarkson is the same bucket-getting role in the Jazz, and so does Danilo Gallinari for the New Look Hawks. Finally, for the Most Improved Player award, this could really be anyone, and it most likely will be someone who plays amazing out of nowhere this season. Based off of Jamal Murray's bubble performance, if he plays like that during this regular season, he should win the award. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will have an extremely high usage for a tanking Thunder team, so volume alone puts him in the conversation. Michael Porter Jr. showed flashes in the bubble. If he plays more consistently, he could take home this award too. Lauri Markkanen and RJ Barrett are two sleepers on bad teams that are coming off of bad seasons last year, and they could both easily improve their efficiency and numbers this year. Now, let's move on to my All-NBA first, second, and third team predictions. Starting with the first team, at the guard spots, I have Luka Doncic and Steph Curry. At the forwards, I have LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Finally, I have Anthony Davis at the starting center position for the All-NBA first team. For the All-NBA second team, I have Damian Lillard and James Harden as the guards. I also have Kawhi Leonard and Jason Tatum at the forward spots on the second team. Finally, Nikola Jokic is the center. For the All-NBA third team, this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting. I have Russell Westbrook here because he will put up big numbers in hopes of leading the Wizards to the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell will be the spearhead of the Utah Jazz team that will most likely make some noise during the regular season. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo will be huge pieces for a very good Miami Heat team. And finally, Kevin Durant will obviously put up huge numbers in every game he plays in. The final part of this prediction video will be about the NBA playoffs. In the East, based off my seeding predictions from earlier, I have the Heat and the Bucks meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. Both teams have star power and depth. I think Milwaukee's talent is better, and they will learn from last year on how to deal with the Heat's stingy man-to-man defense and packed-in zone. I think the Bucks take this one in 5. However, I think the best two teams in the East will be the Bucks and the Nets. My seedings just didn't allow them to meet in the conference finals. In the West, I think the best two teams are the Lakers and Clippers. However, based on my seedings, they would meet in the semifinals, where I have the Lakers in 6 games. The Western Conference Finals, I think, will be a rematch from last year with the Denver Nuggets and Lakers. LeBron and AD are more talented and experienced, and with their revamped supporting cast, I see the Lakers taking it in 5. For the NBA Finals, the Lakers and Bucks would sure be a fun one. The star power of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, and Jrue Holiday would be a great series. I think the Lakers' experience in big games would help them have an edge in this series, and I don't see LeBron losing a series unless he is severely undermatched on talent, which is not the case here. For these reasons, I predict the Lakers will win in 6 games against the Bucks and take home the 2021 NBA championship. And that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed these predictions, and feel free to let me know what your predictions are in the comments of this video or on Instagram. By the way, I will be posting some of these predictions on Instagram, and make sure you're following me at Hoops and Scoops YouTube. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon. See ya.